Speaking of
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Rocky,
Oh my
um,
God, the
real,
fucking fights this weekend.
yeah, what do you think about that? Leon
Holy shit.
Edwards.
I mean, Kamaru was dominating up to that point, and it definitely wasn't a lucky head kick because I was watching some of their training footage from before that. They planned that shit, right? They
Yeah,
planned
he
to
was
throw that
setting
left
him
hook,
up in the
and
fight.
he was setting him up. He was planning to throw that left hook. He knew he was going to dip to the right, and he was going to catch him with that left high kick.
Yeah, because
Boom,
he was
out,
throwing
headshot, dead,
combinations. Yeah, that was such a good one-liner. Pound for pound, headshot, dead. He said it
dead.
a couple of times. Headshot, boom, dead. But it was raw emotion. You could just tell
It
he
was.
wasn't being
It really
anything other
was.
than him.
Man, to watch a moment like that in sports live,
It's
there's
crazy.
nothing like it. You know,
I was
like
getting bored with the fight.
none of us were expecting that. I was like, all right, well, this is another decision victory for Usman. Like, not like Usman. I like nothing against him. Like he was a dominant
Yeah.
champion, about to break Anderson's record. Like, so I was there for that too. Like to watch greatness transpire
I
of him
mean,
actually beat that record. So it'd have been cool either way, but like that was ridiculous.
that was crazy.
And the fight before that, um,
Rockhold and Costa.
oh my god,
That fight
right?
was legendary. Rockhold is an
He was,
absolute gangster.
I think he just couldn't breathe after he got his nose busted in that first round. Like I was
Yeah.
just imagining. I've been in that situation where you have like just blood pouring down the back of your throat from your nose, and you just can't breathe through your mouth or your nose because everything is just clogged with blood. And you're in the middle of a fucking fight, and you're 37, and like just completely gassed, and just the most gangster shit in the third round, like fuck you, and just sticks his ass like with a bomb,
Yeah. Yeah, that
and
bully
then
left
and then
hand.
just and then ends up on top of him at the very last
Yeah,
seconds of the last fight of his
rubbing
career.
all the
Like,
blood all over him.
I'm gonna make this iconic, like
Man. Uh,
legendary, amazing, like actually a pay-per-view that was entertaining for once.
yeah, that I mean Luke Rockhold, I think that was his best fight ever.
I mean, he was,
He didn't win
yeah, he was
dramatically,
it.
but the performance and what he
Yeah,
did and how raw it was and how deep he dug, that was
he
a
dug deep.
legendary fight.
It really was. I
Because
was
that left hand he was landing, it's not like he was putting it behind crafty combinations. He just
just was
moved
sticking him
forward
with it,
and he stuck him like two or three times
and
while
he
yelling
was,
"fuck you." Remember
yeah,
those
and he
four
has hands
body
on his
kicks?
knees. Yes,
Yeah, when
just
when
back to
Costa
back.
was like,
Boom,
"Oh no,
boom,
that didn't
boom,
hurt."
boom.
That was so
He was
awesome,
just sticking him with body kicks. I couldn't believe he was actually had enough energy to throw those at
dude.
that point. Because
Yeah,
before that, he had his hand on his knees, basically about to fall over on the stool in between rounds.
I mean, I don't know what
Still
the
comes
one.
out banging, bro.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome
The
against a
fight
young
night,
guy. I mean, he didn't get knocked
yeah,
out. He didn't get put away. It was, he brought the fight. He brought more of a fight than Adesanya. I would love to see him versus Adesanya, or maybe I'm an idiot.
yeah. I think Adesanya would have been able to pick him apart a bit more. Luke is amazing kickboxing and shit too,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
um,
But those are awesome. And then we got
they,
Nate Diaz versus Chimaev coming up real quick.
yeah.
Um,
Bro,
but
how
we'll
about the
talk.
fight night before the fight night before the pay per view? They had some pretty good bangers on that card too. Cheeto knocking out Dom.
Oh yeah.
What
That
the
was a
fuck?
nasty
Nasty.
kick to the face. Just face planted a legend. That's what happens to
It's two in
legends.
a row with
These
Cheeto taking someone out with a face. Didn't he take out Rob Font with that up kick?
I don't remember,
Nasty,
but I think so.
nasty.
I like the story with Sean O'Malley because that rematch is brewing if Sean continues to
Yeah,
win. But Sean, I don't know. I don't know. But it's interesting because I mean, ifs, but that I always imagine Sean O'Malley having fought Dom and being there. So like there's this backstory every time Cheeto looks good and wins. And then O'Malley goes out because his last fight was controversial, ended to like an eye poke or something.
yeah.
So every time he goes out, something weird
It's a no
happens.
contest. Yeah,
And everyone wants to see him and Cheeto, but Cheeto's just blasting his way up, and
he's doing.
O'Malley's staying here in the rankings, but relevant in the media. So,
Cheeto's got
and
some power.
I wanted to entertain one last MMA conspiracy before we get into what we want to talk about today. But do you
Yeah.
think the reason John Jones hasn't been booked in any fights is because he's secretly serving a suspension?
A suspension for what?
Another drug testing
You
suspension.
think he got popped for another drug? I feel like they would have blown that up in the media.
This is the thing. No, because after Sean O'Malley popped a year and a half or 2 years ago, fought it, won the case, got reinstated. They had to like they didn't even apologize in the media, but they fucked up his career. Yoel Romero won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit a year and a half pretty recently because same thing, tainted supplement. Like a lot of these tests, they're BS. Long story short, after that, they changed their protocols silently, but journalists uncovered like new things and stuff. So they changed their protocol to not make public any positive findings unless the fighter wants to, but they can just serve
Hmm.
their sentence quietly
Wow, would make a lot of sense with John. I mean,
because they're all
he has
available.
been bulking. You know what I mean? Like trying to go up to heavyweight. You'd think you'd want to do it as quickly as possible. It makes sense that you might use some supplements that were maybe on the
Yeah,
juicier side of things.
and you're
Yeah,
getting
would a little bit
personal, but
more.
he never changed his behavior, so there's no reason to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He kept popping and popping and popping, but in the media it looks good because he's bulking, but maybe he's serving a suspension.
Yeah, no.
That's why they're not booking him is because he wants to bulk more. That's what I've heard talked about. So it looks good
Bulk
that way.
more. He was already basically a heavyweight when he was a light heavyweight. Like, how much more do you need a bulk? You know
When
what I
you
mean?
go up a weight class, you're dealing with guys that have been there a long time already. So they've conditioned themselves to a larger amount of muscle and they cut down to the weight class. But when you're coming up, that's exactly what
Not
you're
every
doing.
heavyweight is every heavyweight is cutting down to 265. Like, there are a lot of heavyweights that fight at like 240,
240, 245.
235.
It
You know
doesn't
what I'm
matter.
saying? Like,
They're adapted to it. John Jones is
sure.
fighting at two light heavyweights 205, so it's
Yeah,
still
but
40
when he walks
pounds.
in there on fight night, he's probably 225,
That's
230.
that's what I'm saying is that's water weight.
Sure.
It's not
Yeah. Not muscle
that it's
mass.
not the weight difference in muscle mass to where you still because Stipe weighs in 245, but he walks around probably 260, 270. They're still cutting down, and John's just kind of floating. You got to build that little extra so you can, and then you got to condition yourself to carry the extra muscle. There's bulking up the right way, and then there's like what Tony Ferguson's about to do, move up and fight Li Jingling, which is just going to be water weight 170 versus over time Li Jingling is going to be coming down to a comfortable. So anyway, that could be why he's taking time to bulk up properly.
Yeah,
So he
could be.
can go 5 rounds like he used to. But then Stipe hasn't been booked either. But he's holding out because he's the number one guy, which means he would fight Francis, which hasn't been booked either. And he's available, not injured. But
His knees better.
I didn't know it was bad, but
Yeah, in the Cyril Gahn fight, he had it wrapped and he had to have surgery on it. He had surgery after that fight, so he was still in
wow,
recovery with a
that's
knee. I
been
think
a
he had an
while.
ACL issue.
That's been a
Yeah, it's
while.
been like almost a year.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying in the media. It looks good if you want to look at the story, but then it also they could have booked something by now because John would have fought Stipe. They don't need Francis.
Yeah,
That's the big fight. So maybe it's a secret suspension and everyone's just staying quiet because they're all quiet. No one's giving clear answers.
I mean, John has been unusually quiet lately,
Yeah, that's
even
what I'm
like
saying.
on
Like,
Twitter and Instagram and shit. Like,
yeah,
he usually talks a little bit more shit, especially about things like pound for pound rankings and stuff like that.
yeah.
He's been pretty
Okay, well,
quiet.
I think we talked enough
Anyway,
about fighting.
yeah, that was something we enjoy.